We are in the middle of Interstate 95 in Florida. Look at this. Interstate 95. You can hear the cars passing by. What is this? Oh, I think I know what this is. Okay. That's hard to believe. Camps right there. You gotta pay attention, guys. There's people living in here. These are actual camps where there's people living. Hello, hello. Hello? Yo. This is in the middle of Interstate 95. Make sure there's nobody here. Let's see if we can find somebody. Hello, coming through, coming through. I think this place is abandoned either way. Yeah. Interstate 95. We are inside the median of Interstate 95 right now. This exists in the state of Florida, in the middle of Interstate 95. Now, you may have seen homeless camps in Atlanta or Baltimore or Houston on the medians and wondered, well, this doesn't exist in Florida. The only difference is it does exist, but here in the state of Florida, you have this tree line that conceals this. But look, guys, this is crazy. This is where millions of people traverse the state of Florida. Interstate 95. We are inside the interstate right now. So you've heard of Seattle, Washington, or Portland, Oregon, right? I mean, I've heard in Portland, Oregon, there's homeless people living, on the road there, right? And you've seen this all over. Well, we have the same thing in Florida. But what's crazy about this spot is I don't think this is just one single lonely camp, guys. I suspect this is like an entire homeless village. So you've seen all these things about, Portland, Oregon, or Seattle, Washington, right? Well, that we have that here in Florida. See, Florida is no different than Seattle, Washington, or Portland, Oregon. And this is a small rural county in Florida. The only difference is that here, you can't see it. The cars are zooming past here every day. And the last thing these people imagine as they're driving down Miami, right? You pass Jacksonville, you pass St. Augustine, you're almost Daytona Beach, is that in the woods are entire villages like this of people living clandestinely in the state of Florida. You can see there's a mattress here, and what's underneath this mattress? Frogs, snakes, a body. What on earth? But look at this. Look, here's a shoe. All right, what type of shoe? It's not even the whole shoe. It's like part of the shoe. It's not even the whole shoe. You see how this tree has all these ropes? Technically to destroy property, you have to have a warrant, but the cops in Florida work outside of due process. So the cops come with a knife and they slice up these tents and destroy them, right? Well, when the cops do that, the homeless people come back and they tie all the tents to trees. What's happening here is that they're actually using this stuff here as building material. They don't sell these anymore. Oh, that's fresh. That's not. See the birds making noise in there. We got to be really, really careful. If this is somebody's campsite and we're in here recording and they catch us, we are in a life or death situation. This camp looks abandoned. Is it abandoned? Hard to tell. I've seen camps that look worse than this, that look like they're completely abandoned and they're not. So that's the thing, you have to be really careful, because you might look like an abandoned camp to you, but some people they'll live in a camp that looks like it's abandoned and it's not. So I guess what you guys are wondering is, are there needles around here? Is there paraphernalia? And I don't go inside a camp unless I'm 100% sure it's abandoned. And this camp, to me, looks abandoned. I don't see anything here that would suggest that there's been people here in the last month or two. I could be wrong. It's hard to tell. But it is open. We're not, what do you call it? It'd be dumb for somebody to keep needles inside their tent. But you can see they're just sleeping on a piece of cardboard. They got some furniture they probably picked in the garbage. There's a sweater there with a flag. There's this football here. And this is probably abandoned because it's open and it's got dirt inside of it. And I don't think somebody would let that happen. But there's people with crazy, crazy mental impairments that would actually live in a tent that's open like that. So it's hard to tell. There's a fishing pole, whatever. But if you've traveled on Interstate 95 between New York and Miami or Jacksonville, Miami, you've literally driven past this. And there are hundreds, if not thousands, of sites just like this on Interstate 95. However, when you drive by on the interstate, you don't see this. So a lot of people have been watching Fox News and they're telling you guys that California's got a problem. Washington, the liberal states have a problem. Listen to me. The overdose death rate in Florida is higher than California. It's higher than Washington, and it's higher than Oregon. It's been like that for years. The homicide rate in Florida is higher than Washington, higher than Oregon, higher than California. It's been like that for years. The incomes in California and Washington are higher than Florida. So we've been fed all this political propaganda that people believe that Seattle, Washington, or California is where the homeless problem exists. But the real problem is here in Florida. Now, I can't be in these woods all day. And the reason there's no cars passing right now is because today is December 25th. There's no traffic at all. Normally, the volume of cars passing through here would be very high, but today's a holiday. But my point being is that in Florida, analytically, we have a higher overdose rate than California, 1.4 times higher than California. We have a higher homicide rate. We have less incomes. But cost of living in Florida is now on par with California if you're renting, not if you're buying. That's a whole different story. But anyways, if you've been to Miami on 95, coming from up north, you've driven right past these camps. And all this exists here in Florida in the middle of Interstate 95, just like it would in California, just like it would in Seattle, Washington. The only difference is that law enforcement in this county is so, oppressive, that they really have to hide out of sight. And, well, you're in the Florida jungle, so there's plenty of places to hide. But the reality of Florida right now is there's a lot of homelessness in the state of Florida. Here's a person that has been to California. I made a video walking around there. By the way, there's another trail going that way right there. It's kind of scary to go in these places, but there's actually another trail going this way here. You know, there's people, the interstate's particularly dangerous because people that have warrants from other states, they like these types of homeless camps because they're by the interstate. So these homeless camps are really, really dangerous. What I'm doing here to show you guys that this situation exists in Florida is putting me in a situation where I could run into somebody who has a warrant out of New York or another state for hurting somebody. But, there's trails through here. And the deeper you get into these trails, the more propense you are going to be to run into somebody that's hiding from something very bad. I recently ran into somebody at a site like this in Florida who had a warrant. And he said, hey, man, I can't be on video because I'm running from something very bad I did. I don't know what the guy did, but he says, I can't be on video. I have a pending situation, right? I can just see through the woods, another trail, and more camps. The problem is that these trees fell and they're blocking or obstructing the path, but I can see through the woods, more camps going that way, and I'm afraid I'm just going to try to get up out of here the best way that I can, because we're just so deep into this stuff that I don't think it's worth. The further you go into this woods, the more propense you are to find somebody like that person I met recently who's running away from something, and there's no telling what they could do if they get afraid. And then here's another trail to another camp right on the interstate. So here's another trail. This one's kind of, I guess you got to duck down pretty bad. Oh, and here's another camp. And again, oh, that sounded like a warning shot. In a place like this, you got to look in front of you. You also got to look up. People will climb up trees like that and they'll drop something on you if they think you're trying to steal. So you can see here that there was a house built out of pallets, and maybe over time it's been destroyed, but I think from here you can actually hear the interstate better now. There's a huge camp here, and again, we're in the middle of the interstate. This is just a dangerous site because the people that live in these types of camps a lot of times are not from the area. They're running from New York or from this and that. So coming through, yo. Anybody here? Just coming through. It's very important to announce yourself, because if they think you're trying to sneak around to steal stuff, you know. Hello? 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 Coming through, coming through. This is abandoned, guys. Okay. Wow. This is insane. Notice how they have a camel tarp here. Now, the camel tarps are actually blue, but with time they fade, so it's just a liner. So a lot of times the homeless people will use these types of tarp. Oh! A frog! Ugh. I literally grabbed the frog, yo. Where's it at? I literally grabbed the frog. Right there it is. Guys, this is in the middle of Interstate 95 in the state of Florida. This is a whole compound. Look at this. This is an entire compound. And way off in the distance over there, I can see another camp, a tent over there. Don't know if there's anybody there, but this isn't just one single camp. This is one, the other. And they, you know, satellite imagery, like this camp here, they were using this camo tarp. There's the camo tarp right there, so you couldn't see it from satellite imagery. Now, with time, it does fade. So if you're homeless and you buy one of these tarps, they don't last forever, they fade. What I'm worried about is that I can see way over there another camp. And that one might be inhabited because it looks like it's standing up straight. So there is a camp way over there. So while this camp here is abandoned and we're exploring this abandoned camp here, as we're talking and making noise, there's somebody a good 200 feet that way that could be watching us. They could sneak up in the woods. They could come up behind us. There's no telling really how much danger we're in doing this. So I want to show you guys the site, but we have to be aware that a good 200 feet that way is a camp that is probably occupied. And I did hear pop, pop, pop earlier. So they're trying to warn me not to go over there. So a good potential that we're being watched right now. But while we're here, let's take a look around and see what we can find at this site. You find stuff like this. What is this? Oh, I got water on my foot. Dang it. Okay, like this bucket right here. This pot. Why would you? What the crap? You know, like, look. This is one of the strangest things that I've seen. And these homeless camps in the middle of the woods. A water bucket, and I'm just wondering. It's made out of styrofoam and taped up. This is super suspicious. Suspicious. There's a gunshot. You guys heard the gunshot? We gotta leave. We need to leave like right now. That's the second gunshot we hear. Let's get out of here. That is a gunshot. If you've ever wondered in any way, shape, or form, did you hear the gunshots?
Yeah.
Wow. I had to run out. Wow.